Bia Kamal ka Nuer online TV channel ka jan gwas me bana rache me bana jokwen. Raja bana linga raj mi to re wecha ka South Sudan chit ka ngai kone gwan go South Sudan te ka ding wani to tin te ga misha kula lar gwas me why hybrid court for South Sudan as delayed. Ngum mishnedin kon tin de look de ne kon cha jek cha ka lat ngum mi sha ka luka je chit ka me dana chit to ka ron kin dang re wel jokre we ka South Sudan me cha na cha ka nak ka chang ka wel die ka pai wero ron kin dang ro wi de wel jok gwas me beje kwen ye ka to english ka dobra na shalat ke je ko gor je gwano de kon dia ling bana kulo we re yo ko mda de kon ling ka thoknath. The establishment of the hybrid court for South Sudan, a critical mechanism under the 2018 revitalized peace agreement, remain stalled despite growing call for justice from conflict victims. The hybrid court for South Sudan is an AU-led hybrid court which will have the mandate to investigate and prosecute individuals bearing the responsibility for the serious crime committed since 15 December 2013 in South Sudan, including the deliberate killing of civilians, rape and other sexual violence, forced recruitment of children, forced displacement, among other crimes. The decision to establish the hybrid court was taken through the 2015 peace agreement signed by the government of South Sudan and the Sudan People Liberation Movement in opposition, led by Dr. Riek Machar, and reiterated through the revitalized peace agreement in September 2018. Government officials and representatives of the African Union, which is AU, cited legal, procedural, and financial obstacles as the reason for the prolonged delay. Michael Makwei, South Sudanese Minister of Information Communication Technology and Postal Service, attributes the delay to the AU or African Union failure to provide the framework for enacting the law that would establish the court. It is taking long because the formation of the hybrid court is not in our hands. It is the African Union that is supposed to give us the term and condition for the enactment of the law, Makwe said. The hybrid court will not come into being unless the government of South Sudan pass a law. The agreement states that the African Union must provide the term of condition, but they have not given us any, he added. Makwe explained that once the African Union provides the guideline, the Ministry of Justice would draft a bill which will then go through the legislative process before being signed into law by the president, which is Kir Mayadit. To South Sudanese waiting for justice, he urged patience. They need to wait until these legislation are out. Professor Joram Makuma Biswaro, the African Union envoy to South Sudan, offered a broader view, emphasizing that the HCSS is just one part of larger transitional justice framework. He highlighted that Chapter 5 of the peace agreement outlined three mechanisms: the Commissioner for the Truth, Reconciliation and Healing, the Hybrid Court, and the Compensation and Reparation Authority. These mechanisms are interdependent and must be implemented subsequently, Professor Bishop Biswaro noted. He pointed out that significant progress was made when the South Sudanese government, in collaboration with the African Union, held a conference on transitional justice in May 2023. One of the key outcomes of this conference was the prioritization of establishing the CTRH and CPRA before moving to the hybrid court. The fact that the CTRH and CPRA have been passed into law paved the way for the hybrid court, he said, adding that the African Union has been drafting guidelines in consultation with the government. However, Biswaro acknowledged the financial and logistical challenge. This is a process that has huge financial implications, he said, but it will be established and it will reflect the interests of South Sudanese themselves. Professor Biswaro stressed that the overall peace agreement implementation has been slow, affecting critical processes like security and constitutional reforms. The 2018 peace agreement has already seen the postponement of the election from December 2024 to December 2026, he noted. For South Sudan 2026 election to be credible and inclusive, the country must complete the constitutional making process, which is linked to transitional justice mechanism. Without functional judicial system to ensure accountability and uphold the rule of law, election could face legitimacy concern. Victims of South Sudan conflicts continue to demand justice. Biswaro acknowledged this frustration but urged patience. There is a legal dictum that justice delayed is justice denied, he said. But history shows that justice, even if delayed, will eventually be realized. He also highlighted alternative justice mechanisms that could complement the hybrid court, such as the Gakaka court in Rwanda and customary approach in West Africa. While the African Union has no specific deadline for the court establishment, Professor Biswaro insists that the issue remains on the table. Good things take time, he said, but South Sudanese must continue demanding their right and holding authorities accountable. Makui reaffirmed the government commitment to transitional justice, but maintained that South Sudan should not be pressured by external actors. We must implement the peace agreement in our own way and in our own time, he said. Professor Biswaro emphasized that the African Union is still engaged in discussion with South Sudanese authorities to ensure the establishment of the court. He called on civil society, victims, and international partners to continue advocating for accountability. James Bedell, the coordinator for the South Sudan Human Rights Defender Network, also expressed concern. The delay in establishing the hybrid court has severely impacted victims, many of whom continue to suffer from trauma, displacement, and loss without any acknowledgement. Justice is not about punishing perpetrators. It is about recognition, healing, and ensuring non-recurrency. But the prolonged inaction has left victims feeling abandoned, reinforcing a culture of impunity where their suffering is ignored. Many have lost faith in the possibility of accountability, making it harder for them to rebuild their life. Without the court, perpetrators remain unpunished, discouraging victims from participating in truth and reconciliation efforts. He added, the Compensation and Reparation Authority has been stalled, leaving victims without redress, while public trust in the peace process has weakened due to perceived government inaction. The entire responsibility for establishing the hybrid court of South Sudan lies within the transitional government of national unity, which has deliberately obstructed progress, including its inability to sign the required memorandum of understanding with the African Union. The African Union also shared blame for not taking decisive action despite having the authority to establish the court unilaterally. As South Sudan approaches its new transitional period, the establishment of the hybrid court remains crucial for ensuring accountability and fostering trust in the peace process.